Yo, what's good, everybody? You know the vibes. Another episode of Zaddy Ball. That's what we're going with.
Ball.
Got my son here with a bottle, so it's kind of fitting right now. Yeah, he's got his Niners hat on. You know, courtesy of Frank Gore in that situation. Do we gotta talk about the whole Frank Gore debate, Hall of Fame debate? I know people were getting out of pocket with it just because they didn't agree. Hey. I'll say he's hands down a Hall of Famer, but I ain't gonna get out of pocket if somebody else does it.
Here's what I'll say. For all you guys that are like jumping down Vicious' throat, I've seen some of your regular takes, and some of them are objectively worse than that take. So again, remember, people have their opinions. You have your opinions, but nobody's jumping all over you guys when you say things that are clearly wrong and not an opinion. So just keep it football. You can disagree with him. I do. Frank Gore is going to be in. We can talk about the whole discussion about why someone would even have a little bit of pushback in terms of him making it. And I think that Vish was very clear when he said he is going to get in. He just laid out different criteria. And then, you know, when you talk about context, I think every case for Hall of Fame needs to be contextualized and nuanced, right? Jim Brown walked away much earlier in his career than he should have. So did Barry Sanders. I don't think anybody confused them without being a Hall of Famer, right? And I don't think anybody would say that Frank Gore is better than either of those guys. But again, one person's case is not the same to the other. I think the real debate is not whether Frank Gore should be in, because I think we all agree he should be in, and he will be. It's about the criteria. What is it, right? In baseball, right, little Leo? In baseball, 3,000 hits means you're in, unless you are one of those dreaded steroids guys. Same thing with 500 home runs. So I think the debate isn't about whether Frank should be a Hall of Famer. Again, we know that he's going to be a Hall of Famer. We know that he should be a Hall of Famer. I think the debate becomes, well, if Curtis Martin's in, Jerome Bettis is in, you know, Frank Gore dwarfs those numbers. And there it is, Warren, right? Like, again, it's less about Frank not getting in because of whatever argument you want to make, and more about when you look around who's in, then yes, absolutely Frank Gore is in. And I don't think that any 49er fan or Frank Gore fan would have him confused with some of the top 5 backs of all time, but that doesn't mean he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. So I guess that's all I wanted to say about it. It's just, remember, mind your P's and Q's with your own takes, because some have said way worse things that are way easier to argue or look at, right? Objectively worse things. So just chill. Nobody's jumping down your throat when you say crazy out-of-pocket things. Leave the kid alone. He had an opinion. We disagreed. We talked about it. But it's just an opinion. That's it.
See, like, I can get, you know, say, pretty emotional when someone says a take that I don't agree with. Like, I'm guilty of that myself. I can say, you know, oh, you're a bozo, whatever. The thing is, I don't start talking about people's, you know, personal life, or, you know, try to attack their, you know, personal, you know, who they are as a person. I don't start doing mama jokes or like things like that on people. But when I saw it, to me, he is 100% a Hall of Famer. And honestly, we look at a guy like LaDainian Tomlinson, who's probably the best running back in his era, like him and AP are the two guys in that era that you're going to say 1 and 2. I think that's most common. Probably 75% of people say that, if not more. What did LT do in his career? 8 1,000-yard seasons, all 8 with one team. Frank Gore, 9 1,000-yard seasons. One of them was with the Colts, 8 with the 49ers. Bingo. Solid. Well, it's great if you get the yardage, but how many carries are you getting? Like, what's the average yards per carry? Things like that, because Derrick Henry, that he's going to be some guy that gets like 35 per game. And, so 1,000 yards a season should be in the bag for him moving forward, albeit health. Well, LaDainian Tomlinson, once again, one of the greatest in his era, 4.3 yards per carry. Frank Gore, in his career, that lasted much longer than LaDainian Tomlinson. So it was a little more couple down years than LaDainian Tomlinson. Still averaged 4.3 in his career. Like, the guy is a Hall of Famer, more 1,000-yard seasons, higher yards per carry, and we're talking about guys in the same era, basically. Both don the same 21 jersey. So it's just, to me, it's a no-brainer. Like, yes, he was the heartbeat of the 49ers offense. During his, basically, until they got Anquan Bolden, they didn't have a 1,000-yard receiver inside that offense. Yet they had a 1,000-yard rusher given every year when he played at least 12 games, Frank Gore. So to me, and they were getting to more of a passing league anyways. We can talk about, Pro Bowls, he only had 5. Well, LT, once again, he only had 5 Pro Bowls. Not to mix in that there were some years like 2014 where he had more yards than an Alfred Morris. More yards per carry than an Alfred Morris. Alfred Morris made the Pro Bowl, not Frank Gore. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the same average clip as Mark Ingram in that same year. More yards in total than Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram made the Pro Bowl, not Frank Gore. So it's like, just let's not hang our heads up on it. Oh, well, it was just 5 Pro Bowls. Well, that's the same amount as LT. Yeah, LT got an MVP. That's cool and all, but same amount of Pro Bowls. Let's look at the years where he's up there in yardage. Yet guys below him in yardage, guys below him in yards per carry got the Pro Bowl nod, and not Frank Gore. Like, we could look at that too. Like, to me, it's a Pro Bowl resume. Mm-hmm. You have the same amount of Pro Bowls as guys that are in the Hall of Fame, more Pro Bowls as well as some guys in the Hall of Fame. And so to me, it's just, I get it, to where people could look at his later years, Indy, Miami, Buffalo, New York Jets. I understand that. Like, that was a pretty good amount of years to where that could be your lasting image of Frank Gore. But someone like myself, who was a diehard Frank Gore fan, because I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan, that was my college team. Next thing you know, we get a good player from the Miami Hurricanes, not a Ken Dorsey player. We get a good player from the Miami Hurricanes.
How dare you disrespect Mike Rumpf?
Hey, Mike. Oh, jeez.
Did I lie?
Come on.
He went to Miami.
Offense. Come on, offense only. Offense only.
Okay.
Offense only. Okay. So it's like, you got to look at those years from, say, 2005 to 2014. That was his career, 10 seasons. The dude balled out. Whenever he played 12 games in a single season, 1,000 yards. Book him. That was Frank Gore. Haven't had a 1,000-yard rusher since. I get it. It's been a little more of running back by committee. See, Leo's like, he said, yeah.
Tell him, little Leo.
Yeah, that's all he knows. All he knows is running back by committee. He's like, what's a workhorse? That's dumb. So that's, let me bring this up. So I just recently, flew to San Antonio, had a thing out there. So I watched Draft Day. Since we're talking about running back, it kind of fits. I watched Draft Day just because it was like, a movie on there. I was like, I don't even remember this movie. Let me watch it. Is it any good? And they're celebrating at the end of the movie how good he did in the draft. I want to hear Jordan Elliott's takeaway from this. traded up first overall, takes a linebacker, trades back to number 7, I believe it was, and takes a running back. Oh God.
That's just bad business by Kevin Costner, man.
Oh God. I bring it up because we're talking about the running back position with Frank Gore, and I just watched that movie and I'm just like, just traded back in for a running back.
A few things that I want to point out real quick, and we could put a bow on this because I think we're in agreement, right, little Leo? We got this, man. Let's own these people, right? We're biased. We're 49ers fans. We're biased. Okay.
Mhm.
2, 15 missed games in 16 whole seasons for a running back. That's insane. Longevity is something where we celebrate players who run white hot like Jamal Charles for 5 years and then they never see anything after that. And you say, man, that was a great player. At the same time, you can't ignore how long Frank did it for. Okay. That. And then when you look at the overall numbers, it becomes even harder to deny. And also, Frank is a victim of being grouped in with some of the greatest running backs of all time. Like you said, LaDainian Tomlinson, Adrian Peterson. How is he supposed to make an all-pro team when you've got those guys doing things that nobody had seen at the position? So, look, I think to put a bow on all of this, we know Frank's going to get in. Frank deserves to get in. And you can still say that he wasn't one of the top 1, 2, 3 guys in any time that he played. But that shouldn't diminish the longevity, the resume, and everything else that we love about Frank. Frank gets in. Salute to him. Thank you for all the memories. And one of the best pass blockers out there as well, too, man. Something that would never pop up in the stat sheet.
Never. And the guy had a knack for, going off against Seattle and making some magic happen too. Like that's another Hall of Fame there. Like you messing up Seattle, boom, Hall of Fame, bump them in.
Bump him
So
in.
to me, this is whether you believe it or not. Personally, I find it as a no-brainer. But like, yo, let's slow it down a little bit. Keep it professional, just a little bit.
Get up off my guy, man. Get up off my
and
guy.
and end it at you're a bozo and move on from there. Like you ain't got to go further than that. People were just going way out of pocket, like doing whole memes and everything. It was just
Get up
brutal.
off my guy, because if I wanted to and I saw who was saying what, I could pull up any one of your tweets where you have said something completely asinine. Chill out. Everybody, nobody's perfect. Everybody got their opinion. So stop acting like just because he says something you don't agree with, it diminishes him. Vish is one of the smartest guys I've ever talked ball with, and he's only 21 years old. Chill out, because if we held the mirror up to your takes, you're not going to like what people are going to think about what you had to say as well, too. That's it. Put a bow on it.
Yeah, Leo's over here just getting heated thinking about it. I don't know if you hear him at all. So,
Yep.
Let's talk about jersey number retirement. I got a text in 2020 saying that basically 21 was untouchable because they were preparing it to retire Frank Gore's jersey. Now Mayoko is saying that Jed York kind of wants to, not retire jerseys so much anymore since they have a whole lot. Like 3 numbers in the 70s are retired. That's brutal. 3 numbers in the 70s are retired. 2 in the 80s. I'm talking about jersey number. I'm not talking about the 1970s jersey number. So it's just that's what I was told by a player that was on the team at the time. Asked for 21. Other players asked for 21. They said nope. That number is going to be retired. But now Jed York seems like that was 2020, so that's almost going to be 2 years ago. Seems like Jed York is envisioning a future of they get a baller that could wear 21, whether it's defensive back, running back. That may be the route to keep that legacy going. And I think they may be going that way because look at Bryant Young now. Like he got in the Hall of Fame, and a lot of that is because you look at Nick Bosa. Well, his career was a lot of that, but I'm just saying a lot of people reminisced about Bryant Young because they see 97 on the field being a baller making plays. Maybe that helps some of the voters come Hall of Fame time. It's keeping Bryant Young. Oh, remember last time we saw a player just making insane plays that was wearing 97 on the 49ers, Bryant Young? Oh, wait, he's not in the Hall of Fame yet? Okay, let me get his vote in. So I do feel like this last year with Nick Bosa and what he's done is kind of like shift the mental of the 49ers, what would you do with all these retired numbers? Seems like it's probably like 60 numbers retired on the team. Would you prefer, say, let's move forward with like legacy numbers now? Like if someone's a high profile player, whether it comes free agency or draft, let's let them wear 21, or would you say that's my guy, retire it? We already have these numbers retired. What does one more do?
So the only thing that I'm going to say, which is why you can retire it if you want to. I don't think you have to, in my opinion. But with the new number rules, we see receivers wearing single digit numbers now. Linebackers wearing single digit numbers. So there's more flexibility in terms of that, right? You can't just keep retiring numbers because guys need to have a certain amount of numbers. Like it's in the rule book. It was in the rule book for a long time. But now there's a little bit of a shift in that. So you can, I'm not I'm not down with like retiring a bunch of numbers because then, again, you got guys that, could carry on the torch. Who knows? The 49ers may come up and find a cornerback who wears 21 who is better than Dion, right? Like this is just something I'm spitballing, right? And he's a Hall of Fame guy for the 49ers the entire time there with the 49ers.
Cat,
It's
better
like
than Dion? Better than Dion? Come on now.
it's a see, here you go. Now you're gonna get me canceled on Twitter. It's just a hypothetical. So I mean, I could see why they would do it. I'm not gonna be necessarily trying to rush to do all of that as well, too, because as you said, Bryant Young's in the Hall of Fame, but Nick Bosa is wearing the number. I don't think people are really up in arms when it comes to that. 80 is gonna be hard for any 49er player to wear. So I get that notion, right? In my eyes, 21, and this is no disrespect, and I think everybody's going to get mad at me now. Here's where we're going to get. No one can ever wear 80 as a 49er. Someone can wear 21 for the 49ers. Yeah, someone can. Someone can. Yeah, someone can.
Is that because Dion wore it and Dion won defensive MVP? Like, is that your logic behind that? Like,
No,
there
it's
was
just
already an MVP player that wore that number before, Frank. Is that kind of where you're at?
that's part of it, and it's more about Frank Gore is a legend for us, and he's a Hall of Famer for us. Jerry Rice is the GOAT. They're not the same. Frank ain't the GOAT. Jerry's the GOAT. You can't wear 80. You can't wear 23 on the Bulls. You can't wear 32 on the Lakers, right? Like it's iconic numbers, right? 21 for us is very important, right? But Frank's still not one of those top 5 guys of all time, right? Like at the position. Jerry's the greatest of all time, and you can't wear 80 as a 49er. So I guess that's where I'm at with it. If they want to go ahead and retire Frank's number, cool. I mean, I'm not going to be mad or anything like that. It's just there's a little bit of a difference between retiring Jerry Rice's number and retiring 21 because nobody should ever wear 80 as a Niner. 21, there's still a little bit, open. It's still a little bit open, right? Like 8, 16, 42, right? Warren's got it. 8 and 16, GOATs in human form. 42, one of the greatest of all time, right? Like Frank isn't esteemed there, like in that way. With us, he is. But across the league and across, the history of the NFL, and you can't tell the story of the NFL without Frank Gore. Don't get it twisted. But those guys are GOATs, like straight up GOATs. And again, that's not me diminishing Frank, just is what it is. There's 5, 7, maybe 10 running backs that have played this game that are better. And I think the conversation should shift from, whether Frank should get in and more about why the hell Roger Craig isn't in. And that still makes no sense to me at all. So that's it. That's all I have to say. But hey, at the same time, if they want to do it and they want to put him in the Ring of Honor, go for it. And I would love to celebrate that. Be at the game. Live through all those memories. It's just that now the numbers are being a little bit more flexibly used. Again, we've got linebackers wearing number 6. You got wide receivers wearing Rashad Bateman just changed to number 7 for the Ravens. He just did that like yesterday. So like that flexibility is a little bit different now.
I'm gonna say just because I got that scoop and that text that was the plan in 2020, retire the MFer, retire that number. Just because I had that scoop, it's just kind of personal opinion there. But also, it's just like he was my guy. I've said it plenty of times. Some of you may have already heard. His rookie season just became a Niner. I was actually wearing a 21 Deion Sanders jersey at a preseason game in San Diego. I had the sweater over it, so you can't see the back name. You just saw the 21 on the front. Like I said, Frank Gore was my guy from Miami. I was like, yo, Frank, I'm wearing your jersey. I don't know if he called cap on it or not, but I said it. I was like, I'm wearing your jersey. Come sign it. Come sign it. Like, bugged him for like a whole quarter. After halftime, he was finally like, yo, I think it was after the third quarter, because he was like, yo, I'm going to go over there after the game. I'll sign it. It's like, no, he's not. He's blowing me off, but I'll let him be. I swear, as soon as that final whistle hit, clocks hit 0, he ran right over, signed my hat, signed my jersey. All of a sudden, just started giving his gloves away, things away. This is a guy that could have went over there and shook LaDainian Tomlin's hand, who was the Pro Bowl running back at that time. Could have went over there. Drew Brees, I believe, was still on the team at that time. So it was like there was people that he could have went, shook hands with, rubbed elbows with, but no, he came to the fans first. That was most important to him. He's a rookie in the NFL, hasn't made it yet, so of course he's going to want to rub those elbows with those guys. And to me, I'm just like, boom, retire his number, please. Thank you. Talk to you again tomorrow. Updates from John Lynch. This was last week, but we didn't get together last week, all on my doing. So feel free to throw tomatoes my way. What's kind of the one that stuck out to you like a sore thumb the biggest? It could be from John or Kyle. It could be from either or. What's kind of the biggest one takeaway that you took?
I think just the shift in the quotes from, we're going to move him, and then now, we've had this plan all along. And it's like, it was one of your plans. Like, you may have had 5 plans, but it wasn't the plan. So right now, they're just shifting it over to, we've always like had this in our mind that this would happen. And you guys know what I'm talking about in terms of Jimmy Garoppolo. The thing I took away from Kyle Shanahan's quotes at the owners' meetings that I felt was how highly he spoke of Trey and how much he talked about, this is why we're trying to change Jimmy Garoppolo, because Trey's ready. So for me, people are all upset because that money's still on the books. It's not our money, guys. There's nothing really we could do about it. And again, I've made this point a few times. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo's number is stopping them from going to get the guys they want. What it's stopping them from doing is being able to battle to get other guys. Meaning, you find yourself with a bunch of money and Chandler Jones walks in and, one team is offering him 7 and you can offer him 9. And you're like, hey, well, we weren't planning on bringing in Chandler Jones, but hey, what's $2 million, right? So I don't think that there's anything that's going on right now with Jimmy Garoppolo being on this roster that's stopping them from getting whoever they want. They clearly prioritize special teams. And that's something that we saw last year this team struggled with. And that's not a flashy move. Ray McLeod and who's the other young man? Burks. Fine. And
Burks
Odom,
as
right?
Odom. Yep.
Right. So, like, you can see that they had things that they wanted to address. And on April 5th, there are a lot of impact free agents still out there. So, at this point, the 49ers ran through their plan. It didn't necessarily work out the way that they want. They didn't think they were going to be here. Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't want to be here. Kyle Shanahan doesn't want, in this situation. They don't want to be in this situation. But right now, patience is the only thing they can do. And patience is the only thing that's the right thing to do at this point, because things change very fast. I don't want to put this out there in the air, but 31 teams basically have their quarterback. They're set, right? There's only one team that you could say is a little bit in flux, right? That's Carolina. It doesn't feel like they're going to do anything in terms of that. But guys get injured freakishly. Guy sneezes, throws his back out. Now he's out. Guy steps outside, tears his ACL. Now he's out. And now things are there for you to move around Jimmy Garoppolo. So that's the thing. It's right now, the 49ers haven't really done it. Oh, all right. So part of this is their own doing, because they had their plan and they thought that they were going to be able to move him, right? Part of it's not, because so many things happened that were, I guess, they couldn't foresee. Deshaun Watson being cleared, being traded to the Browns. Tom Brady's back. It's strange, like, that all of this stuff has happened. But right now, the only thing they can do is just be patient. And that's it. And that's all. It's not the best plan in terms of, like, the ideal situation, but it's the best plan moving forward with the new information that's in front of you, especially with the injured shoulder. So I think right now, I don't really have too many complaints of what's going on. And it's still not going to stop them from making a later on move that could be big. There's a lot of impact free agents on both sides of the ball. And we had this little thing this month called the NFL draft. So, and they have some restructures that they can move around and things like that. So, is it the smartest plan? Is it the plan that I would have envisioned? I don't think they would have envisioned this, and they would have thought that this was the move. But it's all they can do at this point. So there's no reason to really be upset about anything other than the circumstances that you couldn't control.
Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay. I want to say this. It's I've seen a narrative that you have the Rams exercising every little resource to go out there and be aggressive to get their team better to go win a Super Bowl. And the 49ers have done nothing. I've seen that narrative. I kind of went a little too far on Twitter with that narrative than I should have. But like, let's keep it real. 49ers aren't being aggressive, yet they go invest first round picks in Trey Lance. Not being aggressive, right? Like the special teams unit was horrendous last year. What saved them from getting burned this whole offseason by everybody in the media? Jordan Willis. Thank you for that block punt that got them to the NFC Championship. Besides that, awful. What did they do? They went ahead and addressed it in a major way. Signed 3 key guys plus a new coordinator in that. Like, I believe it was Jack Kammer out there that stated that the 49ers offense and defense were top 10 in the worst starting position in all of the NFL. Yet we have people crying on the internet saying the 49ers aren't exercising their resources trying to get better. You're literally upgrading the quarterback position this offseason. Like a legit upgrade at quarterback this offseason. Is there going to be learning curves and everything? Yeah, absolutely. Still have that same learning curves with freaking Jimmy Garoppolo in there. So what's the difference? Like, this team is trying to get better. They're exercising those resources. Now, does Bobby Wagner move the needle for the 49ers like he does the Rams? No, he doesn't move the needle that much more for the 49ers. Does he make them a better team? Yes. Is it a luxury move like Jason said? Yes. The Rams needed that move. They needed that. They've been horrendous at inside linebacker since Corey Littleton in 2017. They've been terrible. So it was a luxury move. And people are capping on the internet over luxury moves. Like, come on, man. This team is trying to get better. They're exercising their resources. Is there still question marks? Sure. There's question marks in Kansas City. Why aren't the Chiefs doing more? They have Patrick Mahomes right now. Why aren't they doing more?
And they just traded
signed a safety. They signed a safety, Juju Smith-Schuster, and traded Tyreek Hill. Come on, it's just like the constant complaints over what? It's just like, let me find something to cry about. Like that's literally what it is. This team, I believe, has gotten better since the end of the season.
Okay. I'll tell you this. I think that people's complaints are what we could be doing. What if you had all that money? And now, remember, you got to do Debo's contract. You got to do Bosa's contract. Who knows what the timetable is on those things? I don't suspect that they're going anywhere. John Lynch talked at length at the Combine about them both being Niners for life. I'm certain that they get that done. And Jimmy Garoppolo's money has nothing to do with that. But when people start to look around at a roster that even right now, even with this money on the books, is still a top 3-5 roster in this league, even with the losses, even with losing DJ Jones, even with losing Laken Tomlinson, because the 49ers have something that no other team has. A core of players that are not just good players, not just great players, but their core are the best at their position. You've got the best left tackle in the world. You got a top 1-2 tight end in the world. You got the best fullback in the world. You have the best offensive weapon in the world. You got a top 1-2 linebacker in the world. You got a top 10 safety, right? This is what affords the 49ers this sort of patience. And I think a lot of fans think, well, top 35 roster, $22 million, $25 million, whatever it is, Jimmy Garoppolo. What if you added Tyrann Mathieu? What if you added this guy? What if you added this guy? Sure, that makes the team better. Absolutely. But you don't know what the plans are in the draft and how this could drastically improve the team. I understand the 49ers don't pick until 61, but 61 is a premium spot. and it is an impact plug and play guy. Also, the plan of Laker Tomlinson walking, Aaron Banks can walk right back into his natural position. DJ Jones is gone. Javon Kinlaw can slide right into his position. This is all good planning in that way. Everything's not perfect. It's not necessarily the plan that maybe I would have drawn up. That's why they're in the front office. That's why I'm just a guy standing in front of all of this Batman stuff and giving opinions. So as of right now, there's nothing to really get crazy about because free agency has slowed to a crawl. Melvin Gordon hasn't been signed. AJ Boye is out there. Tart's still out there. There's plenty. Like when you start to look around, Calais Campbell's out there. These are guys that are like impact players still that are out there. So no need to go crazy. When you get closer to the draft, you start to figure out situations. When the draft board starts to lay out, you start to figure out other teams' plans and what they're doing and how they're filling out their roster. That's when things will change. So for me, nothing to complain about right now. It's all what ifs. It's all about, man, if you got this guy's number off the roster, you could have gotten Chandler Jones. You know, Stephon Gilmore's still unsigned. Those type of things, like you're thinking in that way, and you're not wrong. But at the same time, plenty of time left. And this is just a dead part of it, right? Like no one else is signing. There's plenty of teams that have a bunch of cap money, and they're not signing anybody. They're not signing anybody at this point, and they've got cap space. Hey, cut Mitch, draft Matt Ariza. Done and done, man. Like that's it, man. It's time for or you keep Mitch, and then you draft Matt, and you let Matt sit a year because everybody knows the best way for people to learn is for them to sit 1 year. Sorry, Leo, couldn't resist. Can I dunk? Yes, I can. Unfortunately, I mean, I got to stretch, but I'm gonna hurt my back if I try to just do it in one shot. I haven't done it in a while, you know, daddy duties and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't really see too much to complain about because right now there's so many impact players still out there. There's still this whole Jimmy Garoppolo could be moved at any time, and you still have the draft. And the 49ers, even right now with their losses, are still a top 3-5 roster in this league. So again, it's time to just chill out. We're all bored right now. We're all waiting for the draft. We're all just looking at our prospects. But as of right now, there's nothing really that you can do.
Look, Jimmy Garoppolo had a sub 70 passer rating in the playoffs. Granted, it is harder to win in the playoffs. They went in Lambeau, won. In Dallas, won. And was a fourth quarter away from a Super Bowl trip. This team is good, and they're still going to be good. You look at the Rams, and like I said, I'm not going to name a certain individual, but crying over Bobby Wagner and crying over Allen Robinson, they're doing everything they can to win. Great, yeah, they're solid players, but they lost players. Too. They lost Von Miller, who was a pivotal pass rusher on that team. They lost their last tackle, Whitworth. They haven't replaced him yet, and they went ahead and signed Bobby Wagner, who's a hell of a player, but yet they're missing a left tackle for a quarterback that does struggle under pressure. He does good against the blitz, but when he gets naturally pressured, he struggles. So it's kind of like, what are you complaining about? This team, you want them to be aggressive and go do everything. I think Trey Lance afforded them to be aggressive. You know, that move to where if they don't do anything dramatic this offseason, it's like, it's okay. It's okay. Lost Robert Woods too, and he's a big part of their offense, big part of their running game.
Run blocking.
He does things that are incredible, that they lost and that they're going to continue to lose, because he was huge. He's obviously not the route runner of Odell Beckham, but he's a hell of a player, and Odell Beckham might be a player that they lose too.
What I'll say is this. I think that the Rams catch a lot of heat for just finding different ways to build their roster. And, you know, everybody's like, well, they have no first or second round picks that's going to catch up to them. But when you have those premium positions locked down, you have your Jalen Ramsey, who's top 1-2 guy. Aaron Donald's still one of the best players in the world. You know, Matthew Stafford's an amazing quarterback. You lock that in. But I think people are discrediting what the Rams have done in the middle rounds with those picks that they still do have.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And everybody wants to give the 49ers props for hitting on their third and fourth and fifth round.
Signing a Darius Williams from the XFL. Great signing.
The Rams have done a great job, third, fourth, fifth round. In the same way that you give the 49ers props for that, you still have to objectively say, hey, the Rams have done a great job filling in. Now, losing out Whitworth and losing Von Miller, that's not something that's easy, right? Whitworth retires, Von Miller goes and gets the bag with Buffalo. But I think the point is you have the Rams on this side and you have the 49ers on this side. And the margins between the two of them are this thin. And
Mm-hmm.
this team, the Rams, prefer to have known commodities instead of draft picks, which all you guys tell me all the time is that the draft's a crapshoot. But they take known commodities and take the crapshoot out of it. Okay. And then you have the 49ers, whose core is drafted, aside from Trent Williams and Kyle Juszczyk and everybody else. And they build in different ways. But look how close they are. So that's the thing. There's different ways to make a soup, different ways to skin a cat. And these two teams, as close as they are, couldn't be any more different in the way that they build their rosters. And can you argue with the Rams? The Rams just won a Super Bowl. Yeah. You know what winning a Super Bowl gives you? 3 to 5 years of being like, yeah, we didn't win it this year, but remember when we won it a few years ago? 49er fans would love that. That's it. Win the bowl. Win the bowl. That's all.
And when you have the quarterback position figured out, you could win in either way. Whether it's I'm going to give up picks for known commodities. Poor cats, Paul said.
Poor cats. Skin a cat, sorry.
I'm going to give up picks for known commodities, or I'm going to make them homegrown guys. You could win either way. Don't believe me? All right, just look at the Chiefs. They drafted Patrick Mahomes. They drafted Tyreek Hill. They drafted Travis Kelce. They drafted Chris Jones. Yeah, they traded for Frank Clark, but he was only pivotal for their 1 year that they went to the Super Bowl against the 49ers.
And they won it.
So, yeah. And Tyrann Mathieu, cool. It's added with free agents, but a lot of what the Chiefs has done has been through the draft, and that's what the 49ers are doing as well. Like, the Chiefs' Tyrann Mathieu is the 49ers' Trent Williams. So they do things a lot of similar ways there in terms of valuing the draft picks. Chiefs traded up for a quarterback. He's a hell of a player. 49ers traded up for a quarterback, and you just hope that he becomes a hell of a player. You don't have to be the Rams. And that's sometimes where you could just go broke as a franchise is when you try to be somebody else. That's why they always tell you, whether it's, boxing or whatever, fight your fight. Because when you try to fight somebody else's style, when you try to fight somebody else's fight, that's their fight. That's not yours.
Yep.
So if you lose that fight, don't be surprised. That's not your style. And if the 49ers went out there and try to go be like the Rams, it may not even work out because that's not their style.
It clashes.
Yeah, it's just like they're not professionals at that. They're professionals in the way they do things and the way they prefer things. That's what got them to that level. Yeah. Not all right, switch it up. We're going to become the San Francisco Rams. Let's do it. Like, no, you don't do that. And what they have done has proven to have success. It's the great unknown, but I like to imagine if Trey Lance started the whole year and things kind of went similar ways and the 49ers were in that NFC championship game with 10 minutes to go, basically, I'd like to imagine that they win that game. At least that's my opinion. I like to imagine that. I cry when I go to sleep at night because of.
No, I was going to say. But I imagine that, though, in my sleep, too. Like, and then I wake up and I'm like, oh, yeah, they lost to the Ravens. They lost to the Chiefs. Then I wake up,
like, I just had $1 million in the bank account. Now I have 20 cents. Like, it's the worst when you wake up from those dreams. I tell you, man. Yep. It's but it's, fight your fight. That's gonna be my message to the 49ers. Like, fight, like what you've been doing's worked outside of 2020. Like, outside of 2020, when you had freak injuries on the team, Jimmy Garoppolo played 6 games, and you're out there with guys like Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard out there, and you still beat Cliff Kingsbury. So it's just like, yeah, I just take that chapter out. What I see as far as a starting level quarterback, which Jimmy Garoppolo is, with the starting level quarterback playing the majority of the season, you went to an NFC championship game and a Super Bowl appearance. In my opinion, with the limited data that we have now, Trey Lance is a lot better than Nick Mullins, is a lot better than a CJ Beathard. And I believe he's a starting level quarterback. So I think that bodes well for the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, this time. who knows what's going to happen? I mean, again, you just mentioned Tyrann Mathieu. Tyrann Mathieu's out there still. I mean, he's still fielding calls, and that's perfect, right? Don't let someone. I think it was Jay-Z that said this, and I'm going to leave you with some New York gems because we got to get out of here in like 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Don't rush or change your process because of what you see from other people. Your process is your process. Stay true to your process. Use new information to tweak that process, but changing that process in reaction to other people is going to be your downfall, because it sounds to me like you were never really fully committed to that process, and you're just like now willy-nilly not having a plan. So
Yo.
don't let someone get you out of your lane. That's it, ever. In anything. That's just good life advice. Forget football. This is good life advice.
Yeah, keep in mind, my guy Jason's out here grinding with the YouTube. Hats off to you. While I do one video a week, and that's with Jason. So it's
And
just kind
everyone
of
loves it.
like, yeah, everybody loves it. So it's just like, oh my God, what am I gonna do, Leo? Let me create an OnlyFans to get my YouTube up. Like, no, I'm not gonna go ahead and do that. I'm not gonna go, go at maybe actually,
Well,
depending.
I have
I got to
I
see
have
what
an only
I got to see what the revenue is going to generate. It's a good question.
I have OnlyFans, but it's for content creators. It's called Patreon. So anybody who wants to join that Patreon, I just dropped the Tyquan Thornton film breakdown on there too. So that's a shameless plug. You can do that as well. You can join the Spicy Squad, which is something that we're offering here on my channel as well, where we do our call-in shows. You guys can
Cynthia's part of it. Warren's a part of it.
Yep.
Paul wants to link.
Yep.
Which one? The OnlyFans or the the Patreon? I'm just kidding. I ain't got one. Come on, man.
The OnlyFans, I have two OnlyFans. The one OnlyFans is for me, and then the other one's just for my feet.
Oh, jeez.
It's a perfect place to end this right here.
The feet's the moneymaker too, I bet. All right. Well, we'll definitely see you guys next Tuesday. YouTube. I was gonna say, oh yeah, OnlyFans, of course. Links in the bio for the OFs. And we'll get to it. Make sure that you guys subscribe, like the video, share it with your friends, family, and then get them in these chat as well. Like let's get these popping. It should be fun. Only Shams. That's what Jason went ahead and found with Jordan and Brad.
Creator.
Top 1% creator. We lit out here. So let's keep it going. Let's keep the vibes going into the off season. We're getting that much closer to draft day. And once it is draft day, Jay and I will be in Vegas as of now, albeit change of plans, but we'll be in Vegas as of now. We'll be out there with Fred Warner. We'll be out there with Elijah Mitchell. So, we're just going to give them all their flowers on this show until then. Make sure you go to 49ers Road Trip. Go to 49ers Road Trip.com.
49ers Rush Road Trip.
Rushroadtrip.com. Type in code Luna, type in code Aponte, whichever last name you prefer, and get $25 off.
We got one more donation real quick, and we'll take that up so you can go.
What they're doing is working, but a few key roster moves would get them over the top, and they seem unable to do it thus far. Not time to hesitate. Like, honestly, my concern right now is right tackle. Who's going to play right tackle? Because 49ers did a Euro step on Jay's question, according to their transcripts on 49ers.com. He's asking about McGlinchey, and the 49ers said, updates. Let's ignore the rest of the question. So that's my big concern right now, because I think you got the other solidified. You got left tackle solidified. Aaron Banks, he's going to be your starter. You have Alex Mack that looks like he's coming back. And to me, Brunskill, when you look at when Trey Lance has started those 2 games, Brunskill didn't give up more than 2 pressures in those 2 games. Yet there were some other games where Jimmy Garoppolo started and he gave up 6 pressures, 4 pressures, 5 pressures. So it helps to have a moving quarterback, and I think that'll benefit Daniel Brunskill. To me, it's right tackle. Is McGlinchey available? Are you going to address that in the draft? Because free agency is not really an option out there unless you wanted Tom Compton back, which you know how I feel about it.
He should send Kyle
tackle. Yeah, DJ Jones left. Like Jay said earlier, we have Javon Kinlaw coming in. So it's just like safety. That's a big one. Nickel corner. That's a big one. So it's like 3 positions out of 23 starters, we could say 24 starters, basically. Because if you want to count the 3rd receiver, if you want to count the Sam linebacker, 24 starters, basically, and you got 21 of them figured out, they're in good position.
Yep, I agree. And that's a perfect way to end it, Leo.
Perfect. I prefer the OnlyFans method, but I love it. Thank you, HR, for the donation once again. It's kind of
Appreciate you, bro.
fitting that we were talking about OnlyFans and all this, and then HR hits us with the question. So love it. That's
That's it, man.
perfect way. See you
Help me
guys
on board,
next
HR.
Tuesday.
All right.